Some of these individuals, specifically with Tim Walz, he does have some significant ties to the Communist Chinese Party. You've seen that with all of his, actually when he was a school teacher, that they actually funded his trips. He's been there from everywhere, his own admission, 15 to 30 times. So
Governor Tim Walz, the man who turned Minnesota upside down, was once being considered for vice president of the United States. Yes, that Tim Walz, on a short list alongside Kamala Harris. And the fact that over 90% of Black women supported that ticket, it's unsettling. Not just because he's incompetent, but because his agenda is outright dangerous. Thank you and welcome to my subscribers. And newcomers, welcome. Please subscribe, like, and share. Let's react.
Ready or not? Ready or not? Here I come, can't hide. Gonna find you and then I play my enemies like a game of chess where I rest. No stress, no success.
Let's start with the facts. Governor Walz made national headlines for one of the most disturbing policy moves to date. Tampons in boys' bathrooms. Public schools in Minnesota now stock menstrual products in male restrooms because inclusion matters more than truth. It's not about access, it's about indoctrination.
Access to gender-affirming healthcare is essential to being a welcoming and supportive state to the community.
This is a man who pushes the transgender agenda onto children. Yes, children, under the guise of affirmation. He believes kids should have access to life-altering hormones and surgeries before they can legally drive a car.
Is a woman? What is a woman is the question.
I'm not sure I understand the question here.
And let's talk about his position on life. Tim Walz supports termination of unborn babies up until the moment of birth. Not 6 weeks, not second trimester, until the child is ready to be delivered. That's not healthcare. That's infanticide.
First pro-choice majority in state history. And it's certainly not lost on me and our DFL majority chambers in the House and the Senate are led by women.
And he wears that policy like a badge of honor. How can a man so comfortable with death be considered for national leadership? I'll tell you how. Because too many people are asleep. When Joe Biden was scrambling to find a vice president, Tim Walz's name floated to the top right alongside Kamala Harris. Imagine that pairing. One woman who laughs at tragedy and a man who silences dissents with identity politics.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome back to Washington, Governor. I'm going to run through a series of facts before I get to my questions, so let's get started. Governor Walz, you signed the Health and Human Services Omnibus Bill into law in May of 2023. That bill expanded Minnesota Care to provide free health care to illegal aliens. You signed the Higher Education Omnibus Bill into law in May of 2023. That bill allows illegals to have their college tuition paid for by the state. You signed the Driver's License for All Act into law in March of 2023, and that bill allows illegals to receive driver's licenses. So, you claim you're not a sanctuary state. You just provide free healthcare, free college, and driver's licenses to illegal aliens. One reason you're here testifying before us today is because you refuse to cooperate with ICE. While states like Florida and Virginia empower their law enforcement to detain and remove criminal illegal aliens, you, sir, have done just the opposite. Your Attorney General is directing law enforcement to ignore ICE immigration detainers. Do you agree with the Attorney General's guidance?
Well, Congressman,
2020, looting, acts of violence, and arson occurred on your watch in Minneapolis after you refused to bring in the National Guard. Governor, your agenda is clear. Free healthcare, free college and driver's licenses for illegals while handcuffing law enforcement when they're trying to protect our citizens and their communities. If you think that's not a sanctuary state, you shouldn't be governor.
That could have been the leadership of the free world, and we narrowly escaped it. But what worries me most is how many Black women were convinced to support this madness. Not by logic, not by policy, but by emotional manipulation. Tim Walz didn't become vice president, but his ideology, it's still marching through our schools, our families, and our politics. It's anti-family, anti-faith, and anti-reality. We have to wake up before someone like him ends up in the White House for real. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.